Hey guys, how's it going? Sam here. So just before we start, I want to say a huge thank you for everyone that has subscribed and started watching my content. I've hit over 10,000 subscribers now, so that's pretty crazy. So I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone. Everyone's been really supportive and it's been absolutely amazing. As a thank you, I have created a Discord and I'm going to set a challenge at the end of this video, so if you're interested in that, stick around to the end. And basically next week I am going to paint over someone's work if they submit to the Discord, so if you want to hear more about that, wait to the end. For this video I'm going to be focusing on brush economy. We're going to discuss what it is, why I'm focusing on it today, and how it might potentially help you as artists. So let's get started. Okay, so what is brush economy and why did I want to use it? Basically, brush economy is trying to use the least amount of strokes possible to achieve a good painting. So it's quite stylized. You end up seeing some really evident brush marks. Works quite well with people when they use palette knives as an example, if you've seen that. You end up with these beautiful gestural drawings. I want to try it because recently I've been pushing towards more realism and I end up spending longer on pieces, whereas if I can get better at showing form quickly with less marks, I'm going to speed up and I'm going to end up with more dynamic paintings. So that's why I wanted to try it. This first piece you can see here is the 100 marks. It's not probably bang on 100, it's pretty close. I did actually use a clicker to test it, but I think I missed a few here and there and I did undo a few times, so I did cheat. But I wanted to set myself this challenge to see how I'd get on and also to see what the results were like between 100 and 50. With this first apple, I think there are problems because I just started. I didn't really know what to do. The second apple starts better. The first one, I should have blocked in with a really big brush over the entire apple to just get rid of the white space. I didn't do that, and that's the first thing I'd recommend doing. The main reason I didn't do that is because I've seen these artists in traditional blocking in using a full brush, and I think it works easier with traditional than it does digital because it blends slightly. So I was having issues with that. So with 100 marks, I probably wasted 20 of them just trying to get some kind of colour on the page, basically. What's interesting with this is you realise how important your colour choices, how important your value choices are, and you really need to break down the object into its simplistic forms. So I know it's spherical, so I need to show that it's round, so it's going to be darker at the bottom and probably lighter at the top, and then when you have that dimple I need to show that somehow with a darker value or a different colour, a different hue. So that kind of becomes really important, and when I'm only using this one brush it becomes quite difficult. So normally if I was going to paint an apple I'd probably use a soft round brush and then add highlights and add shadows from there, but I wanted to treat this almost like a traditional painting. I didn't want to use any crazy tools, I didn't want to use any colour correcting. I essentially wanted to choose the colours myself, throw them down with a brush and pretty much use solid opacity other than the texture on the brush. The main thing I found while painting this apple is you need to try and reserve really saturated colours and you need to reserve the brighter values. So the dark reds I'm using are probably the closest to the strongest saturation I wanted to use, because otherwise they start to push towards a more of a brown or a pink or a kind of dirty red. So I wanted that saturation of the red, but if you notice with the greens, when I'm first blocking them in, they're quite muted, and as the piece progresses I start to bring in more of that saturated green to make it feel alive, basically. So if you go in straight away with these really saturated colours, I think you can end up running into some real issues, because you've got nowhere to go with that saturation, you can only pull it back, and if you've got limited marks that's quite a challenge. You're going to struggle to do that. Obviously with digital art anything is basically possible, but in this example we want to imagine that this isn't digital, we want to imagine it's traditional. So as I progress with the piece you also see I start to include my brighter highlights, the furthest I want to push. I don't really want to go anywhere near white, but I get pretty close. Just for those specular shines that you get from an apple. And also my darkest dark, so you'll see me near the shadows adding in this darker red. And then after that I found the real challenge with this is blending the green and the red. If I was doing this normally I would use a soft round brush to block in the reds and then blend that with another soft round brush for the greens and then start adding these marks over the top. But I'm trying to treat this like a traditional image, so I can't really do that. I didn't want to cheat my way to a piece just to get a good result. I wanted to challenge myself by using just one brush that wasn't particularly easy to handle, and I didn't really want to use too much pressure sensitivity, so I wanted to keep the strokes almost like real acrylic, quite strong, and if they blend a little bit that's okay, but for the most part as I put them down I leave them. So it results in an okay image, I would say. It's not great, it wouldn't go in a portfolio, it's really simple obviously, but I think the whole piece took me less than 15 minutes, so for a quick colour block out I think it's really good, and I think it's useful. It served its purpose for me to understand how to create an apple with those colours. Are there things I could improve? Absolutely. I think the blending between the green and the red could definitely be better. I think incorporating more interesting colours could definitely be better. Just the general value ranges could probably definitely be improved. But the testing of using 100 brushstrokes, I think it served its purpose. I think it's definitely worth trying. So when moving on to the 50 brushstrokes, this was following on from the 100, and I'm basically repainting it. And you can see I start completely different. I've already realised the main issues I came across. So I've blocked in my background immediately to get rid of the white on the page. I've thrown in my blue background highlights that I know I want to use on my shadows. Now obviously everything gets easier the second time you've done it, but I think that just doing this was really important. So I've blocked in my red on the left hand side and I've started blocking in the green on the right hand side, and the full apple now is completely filled in, which sounds stupid that I didn't do that the first time around, and it kind of is I guess, but that has really helped with this piece, and it allowed me with the 50 brushstrokes to get things in a lot faster. So you'll see I'm throwing in big chunks. With the first one I was trying to avoid going forward and back because you wouldn't do that traditionally, whereas this one I was okay with going basically forward and back as long as I kept my pen down. I viewed that as one brushstroke. So again, maybe that is kind of cheating, but I'm gonna let myself off. And again, I'm thinking about the same things, blocking in the shadows, blocking in the highlights. I just need to get there much faster, so I'm making those decisions faster. And it's interesting, you do things differently when you're trying to reserve the amount of marks you're making. 50 marks sounds like a lot, but it's really not when you're trying to create form, especially if you don't really do it like this very often. I imagine the more you do this, the better you'll get. And some of you that do this a lot will look at my piece and be like, what the hell are you doing, Sam? But for me, it was a real challenge, so I'm really glad I've done it. I'm going to definitely do more of them, and I might use other tools. I might challenge myself with more complex compositions, maybe do more still life, maybe do environment paintings like this. So, okay, before this video finishes, like I said, there's going to be a challenge to you guys. The Discord link will be in the chat, so click that and join. Basically what I want you to do is do what I've done here, limit your brushstrokes on a painting, but I want you to paint something, first ignoring the brushstrokes, create it how you would normally create it as a study, and then recreate it using limited brushstrokes. Now, I think the amount you choose will change depending on what you're creating. So if you choose an apple like me, 100 might be a good choice. If you're doing a portrait, you might want to choose a little bit more, or a Google Maps image might be a little bit more. I'll leave that up to you, but try to challenge yourself and see how you get on. I also want you to give me the next suggestion for my next video. I'd like it to be a challenge just like this one, but it could be using the lasso tool, could be using a crazy brush, could be a Google Maps painting, whatever you think is suitable. And the best idea is the image that I am going to give some feedback on a video and paint over. So if that's something that interests you, join the Discord. I'll see you in there. If not, thank you for watching anyway, and I will catch you guys in the next video.